Hey guys, Pastor Tim here. It is Monday afternoon, and I just want to first say thank you to those of you who brought by some meals for the Unfeed family. Theresa had a great surgery and is recovering well, although she is hobbling along and scooting along, so that's kind of hindered her a little bit. But thank you so much for just taking care of us. Hey, I just wanted to say that if you didn't have a chance to catch the message, there is a uploaded link for you on Dropbox. Feel free to listen to that if you have the time. It is a little lengthy, but the importance of this message really is the groundwork for what student ministry is really all about. And if we get these things aligned in a student's life, I think we will see great things happen, not only in their life, but as a community in general. So what we did talk about was Jesus being our foundational cornerstone piece. And for those of you who didn't see, my daughter, she painted. Now it's going to be backwards to you guys, but we talked about building our lives on sausage. No, on Jesus. Backwards, but you get the point. And everything will stand or fall depending on what we're building on. So we started with the premise that Jesus needs to be our chief cornerstone, not just a brick down the wall, not just something we add on to our life, but we're building on that. So this week in your community groups, really press in. The trial is, who is Jesus? Is he just an add-on to your life, or are you truly building your life on him and living under his authority? So we start with Jesus, and from there, we're going to build our identity. Yes, I know it's backwards, but identity. That if we're not building it on Jesus, that means that we're getting our identity from someone or something else. So please talk to your students and talk to them about what is an identity? How do we get identities? What are some of the labels that we find in the world that we live in? How do students get identities? And at the end of the day, we want kids to get their identity from Jesus, from the love of God. Because if they pull their identity from any other thing, it's going to lead to pride or despair. Pride, I'm better than everyone else. I belong to a better social class. I got better schooling, better grades. Or it leads to despair. I don't measure up to these people, and I'm not as good as these people. We want kids' identities to be rooted in the fact that God loves them. That's where they get their identity. Now, if they're building on Jesus and they have an identity in him that leads to a life of worship, we laid that next brick, the life of worship. Looks like girl slov or something. Anyways, the life of worship. All of our life is an outflow of worship to either God or to someone else. So in your community groups, talk about who or what are you worshiping? What do you find the most glorious in your life? And what are you giving your time and attention to? We worship God with our words. Are we speaking of Jesus? Are we telling others about what God is doing? Are we worshiping with our works? How are we serving? And are we worshiping God with our wealth? So we're building our lives on Jesus. We get our identity from him. All of our lives are lived out as an act of worship, and we do that together in community, this next building piece. Talk to your kids about community. How well are we doing in loving one another? What kind of encouragement do we need? What are some of the things that keep us from living out biblical community? So there's some scriptures, there's some questions to talk about with your students. After that, we're not meant to just live community by ourselves as a Christian subculture, but we're actually to be on mission, living our lives. This is cracking me up. Hold up a mirror when you watch this, and then it'll make sense. We live life on mission, which is simply living in the world that God has placed us in the times and places to introduce people to Jesus. That's the whole bigger mission. And of course, all this is done out of love. All right, so we love Jesus, and out of that we get our identity. Our life is a life of worship. We live in community together as Christians, but we live on mission. This is key and core to the Christian faith, and we want our kids building on the solid foundation. If all these are being done, it will lead to a movement. It will lead to other people getting saved, and these are the critical pieces we want to encourage in the life of our students and in the lives of our families here at Shiloh Community Church. So have fun with the message. If you need to listen to it, go for it. This is a message in a brick form, and you've got some study questions, community group questions attached to this email as well. Hey, blessings to you guys. I will see you guys on Wednesday, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.